evening, Sigma race fans. We come at you live for a doubleheader here tonight, the USA Trucks West Division and the Bridge to Cup Series to follow afterwards. Both of them are racing here at Phoenix tonight. It'll be 195 laps here for the trucks, and then with the Bridge to Cup Stars afterwards, it'll be a 210 lap race. So pretty much consistent length races for both of them here tonight. On the front row, we've got the Trevor Ventures teammates of Trevor Vaden and Trevor Walker. The Trevor and Trevor show continues on in 2025 here, but they've not really been able to win as much. Billy Lovejoy next in line with Brian DeBlanc, who's just recently been on a tear, it seems. Matthew Fastnaugh and Chris Harvey. Kyler Sestre and Noah Hobson. Santi Messi and Tasha Wright, Luis Rodriguez and Jason So, Zach Magoon and Paul Ladino, Paul Tabarini and Campbell Marsh, Guido Piano and Kat Durham, Willow Blake and Taylor Cording. The big bombshell today was Willow Blake making the announcement finally that she will be hopping over to Chevy next year, and joining the likes of Cording Brothers Motorsports, who she's starting alongside right there, a team truck, a satellite truck, in other words, the Reemergence Racing with Tasha Wright's team. So teammates there potentially down the line. Spinham Walker and Krista Cower, Adam Starr and Bailey Parker, Rich Roy and Casey Nonico, Roach, Jamie McMurphy, Monty Shangle and Jack Davis, Matthew Huber and Jonah Burridge, your current points leader in the ARCA series. Lucas Holmes with Osiel Escobar, Ray Marcus, Jacob Shangle, Jamison Thole, Chasey Plays, and Daniel Paulus Jr. here for 195 laps around Phoenix. Those of you that have been part of the server have probably heard about the grand unveil for Moses Lake Motorplex. It's getting closer to finished. We're going to keep polishing it up, doing some renovations to make it truly ready for the Sigma All-Star race later in the year here come July. And think about it, it's kind of similar to a Phoenix like this. It's just a little bit under a mile. The only difference is it's a true tri-oval, whereas Phoenix still has, for the most part, 4 turns. Moses Lake Motorplex truly only has 3 turns with a hill. So you kind of got the elevation deals going on here at Phoenix as well on the front stretch where they all fan down below the dogleg. Off to the early lead, it looks like Trevor Vaden's going to get to the front here, relevating his team owner to second. Billy Lovejoy in third. Billy Lovejoy having to defend for third, though, as Brian DeBlanc's going to get around him 3 wide, 4 position behind him. Today, I don't know what the heck's going on there. Frustrating. Every time I get back to a week of streaming, it wants to fail on me. Looks like we're back and rolling. There we go. Sorry, folks, for the unfortunate internet. Still giving me trouble as I'm watching it tank miserably. So trying my best here to give us everything we got. But yeah, as I was saying, Trevor Vaden leads the points with 0 wins on the season. And there he is leading the way right now over his team owner, Trevor Walker. Now moving up into third, it is Chris Harvey, who has been on a very long dry spell for LFG Motorsports. He is really hoping that he can get a better finish today than what he's been able to muster all year long. The 12 looking strong so far early in this one. Brian DeBlank in 4th, and Billy Lovejoy lost a few spots there, settling into 5th at the moment. Then you've got another LFG Motorsports entry, the 15 of Noah Hobson. Matthew Fastnot, who has been pretty much fast all year. Name matches the performance. Santi Messi in the top 10, as well as Jason So on a impressive run here out of the 55 truck. "195 laps here at Phoenix often goes pretty quickly. So when the getting is good, you better get it while you can." Just like that, looks like Chris Harvey's knocking on the door here with Trevor Walker for 2nd place. It really has been a strange year for Trevor Ventures, as neither Trevor Vaden nor Trevor Walker have won as many races this year as years past, when it's usually the Trevor and Trevor show. Trevor Walker was lucky to get 1 win on the season so far. It came just recently at Portland, where he pretty much dominated that race. Started 2nd, took the lead, and didn't look back. Trevor Vaden on multiple occasions this year has had a truck capable of winning, but just has come up short. A lot like Sheldon Creed with the Xfinity Series. Yeah, so his stats look pretty impressive this year, and that's why he's currently leading your points, as he's got a 5th, a 2nd, a 14th, a 5th, 3rd, 8th, 2nd, and then just recently, the last race, he finished 18th. But sprinkle in the pole positions have been insane out of him this year. He's had 4 pole positions. Go ahead and add 1 more on here tonight, as he started pole position here at Phoenix. So qualifying is not a concern. It's finishing the races that is the big concern for Trevor Vaden as of late. And you got to imagine those bonus points with the pole position. That alone makes up for about the 8-point advantage that he has on Matthew Fastnot, who has 0 poles on the season, even though he's got 4 wins. So it's crazy to look at the stats like that and how it's played out. But Trevor Vaden has just been far more consistent. And Matthew Fastnot, he hasn't really had a bad race except for the last one at Irwindale, where he finished 21st. So, man, I mean, you look at the points and you look at the results. Average finish, 5th for Matthew Fastnot. Average qualifying position, 5th. But Trevor Vaden, on the other hand, has an average finish of 7th, but rather an average qualify of 3rd. You just got to get consistent and stay consistent. And that's the thing. Both of them have been uber consistent this year. Doesn't always show out with the wins. Sometimes points are a longer game than the race wins even equate to. So it's been an interesting season, as we've finally seen Chevy start to show up and win in the USA Truck Series. As I mentioned that, your highest running Chevy as of right now is Billy Lovejoy in 5th. Well, Chris Harvey has not been able to get around the 21 quite yet, as Trevor Vaden is really driving away with that lead. No retirements here today. Everyone's still out there running full speed. Trevor Vaden with the fastest lap in the race so far. 2nd fastest, Matthew Fastnot. And Chris Harvey still knocking on the door, trying to take second away. Tasha running in 8th, Santi Messi in 9th, Jason So 10th. Let's take a deeper dive through the field, brought to you by Sigma. Kyler Sestre running in 11th. Has shown some signs of life, but it's really been a different Kyler Sestre over the last couple of years since he joined way back in his rookie campaign. You got Paul Ladino, where his teammate David Bird finally broke through to victory lane in the last truck race on the East Coast around the airport at Cleveland. That airport circuit was a very interesting one. It was dominantly led by one driver, and all David Bird did was lead after the last corner. It was a very, very fascinating finish. We don't see those very often, and I was stoked to have a race like that play out this year. So assuming the funds might get a little bit more abundant in the Jesse Saturn Racing. My game crashed. Dang it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know why the game decides to crash. And I don't know what's changed. There's nothing that's honestly changed. So I'm half tempted that this is frustrating. Well, the only thing I know how to do is reset the computer and hope to heck that it works next time by. So hold tight, folks. I'll be back.
Touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
How about a nice long day? We're right here to support you. Get the best we can, get a good finish out of it.
Alrighty, folks, so I've calmed down a little bit after the frustrations of the internet and my computer not wanting to see eye to eye. We have shortened the race by 45 laps so that we don't have this race going longer than it was meant to be. So we should have been more than closer to halfway than we are now. So 150 laps here with the USA Trucks West at Phoenix. New front row, you had Kyler Sestre with a pole, strangely enough. Haven't seen that out of him as of recent, so the running order did get shuffled up quite a bit, it looks like. Matthew Fastnot on a better run here. Billy Lovejoy got a little bit rougher of a start in this one, but he's moving through the field as he's 3 wide on the bottom there. Trevor Vaden, who'd been out front dominantly leading for that first rendition of the race, is now dropped back to 5th. So far, fastest lap belongs to Trevor Walker, who's running in second. Matthew Fastnot in third. Trevor Vaden in fifth. Fourth. Tosh Wright now back to fifth. You got nearly 3-wide battle there for eighth. Settled into single file, double file there. But it's Kyler Sestre out front leading, which would be a new winner this season. He hasn't won in quite a while. Look back at the years here. It's going to have to go back a while. He had 0 wins during the 2024 season, which is actually kind of insane. He's always been a solid contender. He did win. Okay, he did win during the chase in last season. That was the last 10-race stretch. He ended up winning from Mars Super Speedway, or otherwise known as Fourth from the Sun Interplanetary Speedway, when we raced out on the moon. And that's going to be where all roads lead to this year, is Mars Speedway for the underclass series, as the truck series is going to finish their season off on the moon. ARCA is going to finish its season off on the moon, and Bridge to Cup's going to finish its season off on the moon. Part of the Sigma name being interglobal, we had to have an international race in the series, and we needed a global race in the series. So it really drives home the whole namesake here, and Sigma to the moon as the season all leads there. Cup Series ain't gonna race there. It's kind of its own special deal for our Sigma feeder series. Cup, we try to keep it a little bit more on the realistic side of things, even though we do go to some tracks that are now no longer in existence, such as, unfortunately, sad closure of Irwindale, closure of Fontana, Riverside. That's another track we go to that's been long gone, the sands of time. And I think that's majority of them right now. If it comes to it, we might add some more extinct tracks to give them a spotlight once again here in the Sigma series. You never know. We might, honestly, the big one's going to be our vintage truck series next year, where we're going to focus on some very, very unique tracks to throw it back to. I know they make the Brickyard when it was all bricks. We're going to have a truck race there with the vintage trucks. We're going to go racing on wood plank tracks, something that most people probably don't even know exists now, that used to exist back in the day nowadays. Drivers go around on the wooden tracks, tearing it up. But you got to kind of consider there's the risk of having a wooden track with vehicles that could catch fire was a bad combination. So there's a reason you don't see wooden tracks nowadays. Not to mention the upkeep on making sure that the wood wasn't rotten. And you look at paved tracks like this, you're going to have cracks in the seams, and most of that's mild. You're not going to have to redo the entire track if there's a couple cracks, and you might be able to seal some of them up and keep rolling on the track surface you've got. But that's kind of what we got planned for next year with the Vintage Truck Series. Something different, something new. Well, Kyler Sestre has been out front leading this whole way so far over Trevor Walker, Matthew Fastnot, Trevor Vaden, and Tasha Wright. Then you've got Brian DeBlanc, Chris Harvey, Guido Piano, Luis Rodriguez, and Billy Lovejoy. Noah Hobson, Santi Messi, Paul Ladino, Zach Magoon, Campbell Marsh, Bailey Parker, Adam Starr, Paul Tabarini, 3 wide with the 22 of Kat Durham, and 98 of Krista Cower. Yeah, I don't know what the world's trying to tell me with all the technical difficulties lately. It's kind of unnerving that, I mean, it's been working fine all year. We have been running like a well-oiled machine since February all the way through May. And then all of a sudden, last week was rough and hard. This week we're already off to a great start on Tuesday here, and I just don't know why, you know? I get the game's about 24 years old at this point. 23. But even then, it's not the game's fault. It seems like it's just my bad luck with technology rearing its ugly head as always. So far through this one, we are 22 laps down, 127 laps to go. Kyler Sestre has led all the laps so far early in this one. Pit stops are going to be a factor here tonight, as they should not be able to go the full 150-mile distance without at least one stop here. Cup Series has a race coming up here later this week as well on Thursday. So Phoenix has really got the full gambit of Sigma racing with the Sigma trucks, Bridge to Cup, and Cup. And don't forget that Cup race, the Cup races mean a lot right now. Every win from a new driver that hasn't won yet this year will get locked into that Sigma All-Star event. And how special would that be to join the field at a track that's never been run at before? It'll be the official home of Sigma Racing in Moses Lake Motorplex. You got to imagine there's going to be a lot of people that want to own that first ever trophy from the home of Sigma Racing. We will figure out a way to work it into the schedule next year, and it will become a permanent staple on the Sigma Racing calendar. And more than likely, we'll continue to host all-star events going forward. as we officially will have our very own Charlotte, where all the big NASCAR names call home. Moses Lake Motorplex is where all the Sigma stars will call home. We got a battle here for the lead brewing as Trevor Walker goes around the outside of Kyler Sestre. Sestre not giving up though. He's trying to fight back on the inside here. This might allow Trevor Vaden to close the gap as well. Matthew Fastnot knocking on the door. Fastnot wants to get that points lead back. He's got to get it from the guy he's running side by side with right now. Trevor Walker gets the lead and starts to check out now on Kyler Sestre. Sestre under attack by Fastnot for second. Still a lot of racing to be done here. It's if you're running even 8th, 9th, or 10th, you can still get into this one. Oh, there's a little bit of bumping and banging there. Kyler Sestre got into the 09 of Matthew Fastnot there. You'd see the sparks flying off the 09 truck. It looks like he's going to secure second place as Sestre is now having to play defense on the 20 of Trevor Vaden. Whoa, look at that. The 85 of Brian DeBlanc is knocking on the door there for Tasha Wright's position. Sestre still losing spots here. He's under attack now by the 20 of Vaden. Well, the laps are clipping by pretty quickly here at Phoenix tonight. Oh, and a big lead change there happens with the 21 slowing down the front stretch. Blown engine for Trevor Walker. Out of the lead. Of all the things, he has an engine trouble. Going into turn 3, right out of the lead. Matthew Fastnot blew by like he was sitting still. Wow. We continue to see the unfortunate trend for the Trevors this year. Bad luck striking in inopportune times. At least for Trevor Walker, his teammate, Trevor Vaden, still out there fighting amongst the lead. Well, now there's a battle brewing for the lead as Trevor Vaden knocking on the door there with Matthew Fastnot. Well, Matthew Fastnot is stretching it out here. Trevor Vaden in second. Kyler Sestre third. Tasha Wright up to fourth. Chris Harvey in fifth. Brian DeBlanc. And that is a lap truck, the 99 of Daniel Paulus Jr. The next group back, you've got Luis Rodriguez leading the second pack with Guido Piano, Billy Lovejoy, Noah Hobson, Santi Messi, Paul Ladino, Zach Magoon, Campbell Marsh, and Bailey Parker, your top 15. Paul Tabarini on the outside of the top 15, running 16th there. Willow Blake mid-pack in 21st. As we skimmed through the rest of the field there, back to your leader as we're about 1/3 of the way through tonight's race for these trucks. Matthew Fastnot, as already mentioned, has won 4 races this year, which is an insane amount to win. And the fact that he is not leading your points right now is even more crazy. That the fact that his average finish outweighs the average finish of your points leader, Trevor Vaden. If Matthew Fastnot were to find another way to win another race, that would put him at 5 out of the first 10 races. at a 50% win ratio here in 2025. He's already sitting at about a 40% within the first 9 races. Yeah, 44% win ratio, 4 wins in 9 races. And man, it's been a year for that 09 team. Strongest that he has looked yet. And it proves the point that you've been at it for long enough, you'll start to get it figured out. The Trevor and Trevor show was last year, but this year it is the Matthew Fastnot show. Some of these other drivers in the second pack desperately hoping for a caution to possibly fall so that things can get tightened back up at the front of the field. Luis Rodriguez has a long way to go to catch the lead draft. Billy Lovejoy now got up to 8th there, getting around the 19 of Guido Piano. Wow, Trevor Walker is knocked out of the race with a engine failure. Tough day. After leading for the first segment there, have a blown engine out of the lead. That's just bad luck. No way around it. Sometimes you're either really lucky or got all the misfortune in the world. Seemingly like my connection to the internet and my luck with technology. Month of June's been a very weird one. I don't know why all of a sudden the internet's got to work against me here, but we're getting this one in. And there's no dropped frames, so I don't know. Maybe once the game crashes once, you get right into the gritty part of it and it starts working fine again. I just wish I knew the solution to make it never happen. Ever. Thanks for all you that are tuned into the race here. You're getting treated to a good one as the lead is swapped hands at least once here today. Twice, actually. Kyler Sestre surprised us by starting out front and leading for quite a while. Then to get blown by from the 21 of Trevor Walker and then ultimately him blowing it up. So a little bit of lap traffic with Fastnot having to deal with the 26 there of Jamison Thole. And then more lap traffic in a little bit. Man, that's also crazy. The fastest lap was turned by the guy that has a blown engine here today. Maybe goes to show you that he had it dialed up a little too hot on the 21 machine, that they overdrove it. Second fastest to Trevor Walker here tonight is the guy that's leading the race right now, Matthew Fastnot. And third fastest is none other than Kyler Sestre, who's sitting in second there. So don't count out Kyler Sestre here tonight. I guarantee you that he's a little bit more hungry to get a win. It's been a while. Hasn't gotten one this year. And the win that he did get was far between his last ones. So he Wants to keep that trend from re-emerging, where he has long breaks between his wins. Oh, and the lap traffic's going to hold him up here as Trevor Vaden blows by him. Well, now the lap traffic's holding up Trevor Vaden. You know, there's two ways to that sword, and unfortunately the 20 got paid the ultimate price, as Chris Harvey catching up on the outside is going to get around all of them to take third place away. So the storylines that are developing here, I'm seeing some drivers that are going to be hungry to get that win here this year. You know, Matthew Fastnut out front, he's gotten 4 wins already. These two drivers running in second and third, they don't care how many wins the guy up front has. They want to get up there and get their first one this year. Liking the line here from Chris Harvey, he's taking a high line, while Kyler Sestre takes the low line. Looks like the momentum's going to carry the 12 right up alongside the 24. And it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch, folks. As the 12 has the momentum on the high side, he's going to close the door on the 24. All of a sudden, the 12 has woke up and is fighting to get up to the front here. Meanwhile, everything else has kind of got strung out here. You got Trevor Vaden and Brian DeBlanc, but then you got a long distance back to Tasha Wright. The drivers that are really appreciating this might be the likes of Luis Rodriguez, Santi Messi, Noah Hobson, and Billy Lovejoy if the lead pack's starting to disintegrate. Tasha's going to be under attack for 7th here soon. Chris Harvey is running about 1/10 faster each lap right now, so we'll see if it's good enough to get up with the 09. Yeah, another 10th that time, knocked out of the lead. And with tonight's race being 10 of 15 in this regular season, there's only 5 races left in the regular season for the Truck Series. East and West both. After this race tonight, there'll be race number 10 on the East Coast, and then 5 apiece. We'll start to really figure out who's in and who's out of the chase, as it's a win and you're in scenario. I always love this USA Truck format where we have the best from the East, the best from the West. 10 apiece. The top 10 winningest drivers, sprinkled in there with drivers that are highest in points, obviously, will join the top 10 from the West and the East, duking it out for the overall championship at the end of the year. No other way to do it when we've got a field as large as we do in the USA Trucks, where it had to be broke into 2 different divisions. And that overall championship is definitely a huge deal for these truck drivers. Well, lap traffic is now factored into the mix here as Matthew Fastnot has caught up with a 3-truck wall in front of him. Chris Harvey has caught way up to the 09. In the meantime, these two have drove away from Kyler Sestre and Trevor Vaden. Just like that, Harvey's going to try his move on the outside again, and it's going to pay off. He's going to get the lead, and he might lead this lap here as they drag race to the front stretch. Start-finish line, it's going to go to Chris Harvey for that lap. Harvey has woke up, folks. He's showing some muscle. He's putting on a show here for the fans at Phoenix. We're just shy of halfway, and it was Matthew Fastnot dominantly holding that lead, but the lap traffic has thrown him a bit of a curveball. You got to figure the lap traffic's only going to make things harder for everyone involved here as your leaders struggle to get through. I can only imagine if third on back will start closing the gap again. Kyler Sestre in third, Trevor Vaden fourth, Brian DeBlanc, Tasha Wright's caught back up. Luis Rodriguez, Santi Messi, Noah Hobson, Paulo Ladino now up in the top 10. As Billy Lovejoy, it seems like the setup does not favor a long run here tonight. That Papa John's number 2 Chevrolet struggling a little bit here on the long run. And don't forget, there's going to be at least a round of pit stops here tonight. Whether or not it's under green or under caution is to be seen. Paul Tabarini in 18th. Willow Blake now up to 20th. Wow, just like that, Chris Harvey is slicing and dicing his way through the lap traffic here. As I was saying, that win and you're in scenario always rings true here in the USA Trucks. Chris Harvey has not yet won this season. It's been a rough go. He's still sitting decently, but without a win, it was going to be a little bit harder to get in for him this year, as he currently sits in the points prior to tonight. 6th. Okay, not so bad. Not as bad as I thought. He's been doing well enough to stay in the top 10 in points, which that's the thing. You got to be top 10 in the points or have a win within the top 25. And this year, you don't have to look very deep outside of the top 10 to find any winners. All of our winners are top 10 in the points right now. So if this were the last race before the chase, you would be looking at the likes of Trevor Vaden, Matthew Fastnot, Brian DeBlanc, Guido Piano, Billy Lovejoy, Chris Harvey, Tasha Wright, Trevor Walker, Santi Messi, and Paulo Ladino by the skin of his teeth in the top 10 in points. That would make your second Jesse Saturn Racing truck, where his teammate, I would rather say, not team owner, David Bird, just got a win on the East Coast, locking himself in to the WE chase. Well, we're past halfway now, and it's going to start getting down to crunch time on when those pit stops are going to come. These drivers are laying it out on the line here at Phoenix. And after this race, we will have the second of our 2 races in the doubleheader with the Bridge to Cup Series, also under the lights here from Phoenix. Oh, there we go. Matthew Fastnot's going to have his work cut out for him now, as Sestre, Vaden, right. They're all right there knocking on the door. So our focus transitions over to second place here, where the battle is really starting to heat up. That 49 truck is a lap down. That's the only thing separating him from his competitors at the moment that are trying to take second away from him. 3 wide for third place. It's a free-for-all back there, folks. These guys are racing hard. Mad Matt is not going to be denied. He wants to try and get back up there and fight with Chris, but it's gotten a little harder now with 3 trucks separating them and a sizable gap that's continuing to grow in the favor of Chris Harvey. And this is what I love the most about this truck series. It's always unpredictable. Even when you start to see trends develop, something like this just kind of surprises you once in a while. Chris Harvey obviously has the truck, has the talent to go out there and win races. He's already proven it. But the field is so stout, so strong, that, you know, it's a game of inches out there. You make one mistake, you might be running 5th or 15th, depending on how stout everyone is that day. And, you know, we got our first round of pit stops as Kyler Sestre comes down. Looks like lap 86 with 64 to go is your undercut strategy going down here. Chris Harvey staying out as long as he can, maybe trying to keep the lead even under pit stops. He's going to come down this time. But Fastnot's going to stay out. So is Vaden and Tasha Wright. Honestly, not sure what the winning move here is. It's going to be interesting to see what the undercut strategy looks like once it shakes out. There's one of your drivers staying out here. Tasha Wright running in third. Matthew Fastnot dips off. That gives the lead over to Trevor Vaden now. So the only pit stop of the race coming here right in the lap 84 to 89 window. I'm assuming this might be the last lap we see anyone staying out. Wow, even Billy Lovejoy staying out as long as he can here. And there you've got some more takers, but still staying out is the 20 of Trevor Vaden. This could be a suicide move here. I don't think staying out this late's the right move. We'll see. Theoretically, the longer you stay out, the less time you have to spend on pit road getting gas here. Whoa, and he just blowed by the 88 there on pit road. Some very questionable tactics on hand here as the 20 made a move entering pit road on some lap traffic. Looks like he's gonna okay, so that's how it is. There's still a lap down, it looks like, up until he pits. So the 01 stayed out as well. Willow Blake, is she still out there? Nope, she's on pit road now too, so taking a long time getting the car fixed there for the 01. That's a tough break. Okay, so where is the 20 of Trevor Vaden? There's no way. He couldn't have come back out with the lead, did he? Did we take a step into the Matrix or something? How is the 20 still the leader? Okay, now we got it shuffled around. I'm like, what in the world? Okay. Your new leader is the 24 of Kyler Sustre. There must have been some very, very, very slow pit stops from select group of trucks that made their pit stop here tonight. Because we've only got 6 trucks on the lead lap. Very weird. Wow, why are they staying on pit road for an hour? There wasn't even any damage on the 12 truck. Gets the tires changed, sits there. Sits there. Sits there. Wow. That ain't right. Man, just not right. Well, Sigma officials want to make this right here. And after a strange pit sequence, we're going to throw the yellow. Seems like there was some terrible, terrible mishaps going down, and we're going to fix it right here. Give everyone a fair shot at fighting for the race win here tonight. Obviously, every track's going to have its gremlins and unfortunate. You know, what probably happened was there's probably contact somewhere on track, and a lot of these drivers were fixing damage. But it depends on the certain tracks you go to and how much they consider to be extensive damage. Well, with all the interesting pit strategies, it looks like your top 5 is really shaken up here. As it's going to be Kyler Sestre, Matthew Fastnot, Tasha Wright, the 51 of Zach Magoon, and the number 2 of Billy Lovejoy. Okay, so the 99 of Daniel Paulus has just gone rogue here, and I don't think there's anything we can do to fix it. So the lap traffic is doing NR2003 things as only NR2003 does sometimes. There we go. Come on, guys, get all bunched up here, get going. What the heck? There we go, there we go. Tasha's getting it into gear there. Oh, she's gonna blow by your leaders? Ooh. What in the world? What in the world? I just don't know, man. I don't know. Well, I'm sure there's a black flag coming for a few people. Tasha's got to serve a black flag. And all of a sudden, Billy Lovejoy jumps to the lead here. Sometimes Sigma just does things that you just got to let it run. I don't know what the heck went down there. But now your fastest trucks are going to have to fight their way to the front. That in its own is a show right there. We'll have to see if they can get back up to the front. Weird, wild, and crazy. Only in the Sigma Racing Series will you see anything just like that. Now knocking on the door of a top 5, it's Paul Tabarini in the number 86 Taco Bell Dodge Ram there. Billy Lovejoy stealing the show here late in the running. Keep your eyes on Matthew Fastnot and Kyler Sestre. They're running 13th, 14th, back there in the back. But with a little bit of luck, they can work their way through and fight for the lead again. There's still 46 laps to go. Paul Tabarini is 3 wide in the background there. Spinham Walker and Santi Messi. Campbell Marsh running a solid top 10 there in 8th. Here we go. Kyler Sestre, Matthew Fastnot, Chris Harvey. These are your fastest 3 trucks, and they're going to be fighting back through the field. Well, I don't know if the others are going to be able to catch up, as the longer this goes, the harder it's going to be to get through the field. Billy Lovejoy leading over Brian DeBlanc, Noah Hobson, Paul Ladino, and Santi Messi. Yeah, what a wild turn of events here tonight. Points lead is going to be interesting, as Matthew Fastnot and Trevor Vaden are likely to finish outside the top 10 if things go the way they're going right now. Trevor Vaden in 18th, he would lose his points lead back down over Matthew Fastnot if they continue on the trend they're rolling with here. Kyler Sestre now getting past some of the lap trucks here will have very important spots to fight with here shortly if he can catch the window. Still got a gap to close on 10th place to get back up there fighting for potential top 10. Well, let us look at the lap times as they're running right now. Billy Lovejoy with a 27.6. Brian DeBlanc with a 27.5. So the faster trucks sitting a little bit behind the leader here. 27.4 out of Noah Hobson. And then Ladino with a 27.6. So Lovejoy holding on right now, doing all he can to keep that lead. The distance is going to be the killer here, as 36 laps is still a long way to go. Paul Tabarini still holding on for a top 10 at the moment. Matthew Fastnot getting around the outside there of Kyler Sestre for 12th. And Jamie McMurphy, that is for position. That would be 11th if they can get around him. Looks like lap traffic, 99 yet again. Daniel Pauls has been the Achilles heel for these leaders, especially with that most recent restart where didn't let them get doubled up like they should have. Yeah, at the moment, Brian DeBlanc definitely has the faster truck here. He is just trying to find a way around Billy Lovejoy. Lovejoy definitely putting on the defensive here and good, having a good run at too. Top two drivers already with a win on the season. They 28 laps to go, and I am starting to see a little bit more movement here in the top four. It looks like starting to lose some ground here to Billy Lovejoy. Noah Hobson in third there. Paul Ladino up to fourth. Santi Messi. Spinham Walker, top 10 run. Paul Tabarini, Campbell Marsh, Cat Durham, Jack Davis. But now your leaders better start quaking in their boots as the 09 of Matthew Fastnot has joined the top 10 group. Running out of laps, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to do a whole lot here, but time will tell. Just like that, Fastnot up to 11th. Oh, and the lead getting a little dicey here as Billy Lovejoy is having to get around the lapped truck there. 99. Ooh, DeBlanc gets stuck up behind the lap truck. That's going to hurt him a little bit. Lap truck is not doing these leaders any favors, man. Sigma officials sometimes stomp their foot down on moments like this, but after the debacle we just had with the restart, I don't know if they're doing much about it right now. All the leaders are getting around the 99 though, and we're going to keep rolling here with 23 laps to go. Brian DeBlanc hanging around like a mosquito on the number 2 there. He ain't giving him up. Yeah, this race was definitely turned upside down after that last restart, shaking things up here. We still got one hell of a fight here at the front of the field. Billy Lovejoy is not giving it up. You could throw a blanket over the top 5 here as they come roaring down the front stretch. The longer they decide to stay discombobulated when they get separated like that, that only stretches out the field a little bit more. The 15 not wanting to work with the 85. And so the 85 lost a little bit of ground there. Had to fight to get it back, and it looks like he's going to have the momentum on his side here, but I don't think he's going to have the window of opportunity to pounce. Well, some might call it a Mickey Mouse win when you got shenanigans and weird shit playing out. Fuel mileage, a lot of things could equate into a Mickey Mouse win. The entire field wrecking and you surviving, rain's pouring and every car spins out. Tonight was weird because the restart, they should have been doubled up for the restart, and the inside line just charged away with it. And the only one that had the unfortunate circumstance, the penalty that was laid out, was the 90 of Tasha, who is the leader of that inside group. The outside group didn't get going, and so they had to penalize the driver that passed on the inside. Everyone else was away from, free, easy, scotch-free from it. So as you're seeing right now, Billy Lovejoy was on that inside line and inherited the lead in the most bizarre ways that you could inherit the lead in a race. But when life gives you lemons, you just got to make lemonade once in a while. And short of a late race caution here, it's going to come down to 14 laps to go. And this may very well be your top 5, the way they're running right about now. Matthew Fastnot still working on trying to get through the field here. Sits in 11th right now. He's got 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th right there in his sights. 6th even. He could get up into the top 6. If he's lucky, maybe even the top 5. But it's time's a ticking here. He's going to have to kick it into overdrive if he wants to get these extra spots back in his favor. And that points lead will be back in his favor based on how they're running right now. Trevor Vaden did not have a very fortunate second half of this race. Dropped to 16th, actually further back than that. He's climbed his way up to 16th. Could get up into a top 15 before the end of it here. Billy Lovejoy still leading the way. Brian DeBlank starting to close back up. LFG Motorsports still has a dog in the fight here in the number 15 of Noah Hobson, where we saw Chris Harvey was having a solid run here tonight up until that late race caution totally mixed it all up. You know, honestly, there's something extra about this. If you have to earn it, this is the way to earn it. Defend the spot, hold the spot. You know you got a truck behind you that's faster, but do it with class. Do it with skill. Don't just upright block the defending line. Run a race and do the best you can to keep the guy behind you, but don't get wrecked. And that's exactly what Billy Lovejoy has done here today. He's keeping that 85 behind him by strategically placing his truck in prime position to keep the 85 there. 85 has all the rights in the world to dump him, and I don't feel like Billy Lovejoy has done him wrong. He still had a fast enough truck to keep it in front of the 85. It's going to come down to probably the last lap or so if Lovejoy can hold off this 85. All in the meantime, it looks like the rest of your top 10 starting to close up on the front here. Matthew Fastnot faltering at the end, falls behind Kyler Sestre. And if this race isn't enough to get your appetite for racing going here tonight, the second race will come right on the same circuit with the Bridge to Cup Series. It's been a great one here so far for the trucks. Alrighty, we're down to 4 laps left to go here at Phoenix for these USA trucks. Billy Lovejoy holding off the 85, but it's going to be a hard final 4 laps for the number 2 truck to keep that lead. This would be the first time that Billy Lovejoy has Papa John's on the truck up front here. Brian DeBlank's been on one hell of a season this year too. He is in the Cup Series as well as the Truck Series here, and he's had a win in both series so far. Oh, here he goes. He was waiting for the final couple laps to make a move. He's going to get alongside Billy Lovejoy. Lovejoy driving around the outside, though. He's going to maintain the lead on the backstretch. But Brian DeBlank has showed his hand, and he's ready to execute when it matters most, right at crunch time. Lovejoy goes high. DeBlank goes low. Here comes another hard charge from the 85 of Brian DeBlank. Lap traffic is not going to be a factor here for our leaders, as we just have a couple laps left to go. White flag waving in the air here at Phoenix. Last lap for Billy Lovejoy as he's storming around the field here. He's had one win on the season so far. That came at Sonoma earlier this year. It was the first win for Chevy in a long time. Well, Chevy, they're going to be able to start breaking out the champagne on a more regular basis as Billy Lovejoy comes home for his second win in the USA Trucks Western Division, holding off the 85 of Brian DeBlank and many others that were wanting to get the win here tonight. Paul Tabarini comes home with a 6th. Campbell Marsh with a 7th. Spinham Walker, Kyler Sestre, Cat Durham, Jack Davis. Fortunately, they're all dogpiling onto pit road here at the end. You're retaining points lead. Getting the points lead back is the 09 of Matthew Fastnot over the 20 of Trevor Vaden by slim margins. It looks like they got just enough points. 8 points on Trevor Vaden, who had a 7-point lead. And so that is a wrap here for the USA Truck side of things as we get ready for the Bridge to Cup second half of the racing here tonight. West Division race number 10 with 5 to go after tonight. Billy Lovejoy really setting himself up for a good run here late in the season. Looking to maybe shake things up in the chase, as 2 wins will go a long way in the bonus point section for that USA Trucks East-West chase. Well, folks, it'll be a brief intermission here as I get set up for the next one. Congratulations to Billy Lovejoy on getting his second win on the season. It's been a good season for him so far in the USA Trucks. Willow Blake just came off of a very tremendous win in Bridge to Cup at the last race. Could she maybe go back to back? So just hold tight, and I'm going to get things set up. It'll be maybe a minute or two here, and we'll get right into the next one.
Favor, touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your home, you get everything like you want it. Favor, touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Want it.
Okay, folks, we are getting ready for the Bridge to Cup race here tonight. About the same in distance for the most part, just a little longer. And so, on the front row, you've got Alex Crowther and Cooper Dwight, followed by Luis Rodriguez and Alan Malcolm, Matthew Hubert and Willow Blake, Tim Cording and Jimmy Logano, Ryan Little and Carson Bowers. Bowers still has a dominant lead here in Bridge to Cup. Trevor Vaden and Wyatt Wilkinson, a pair of LFG teammates there. Rich Roy and Skylar Taylor, Gannon Bird and Adam Starr, Jack Davis and Alex Sanvital, Finley Herwig and Cannon Gage, Jason So and Anheuser Walkner, Eli the Wolf and Jonah Burridge, Spinham Walker and Kyler Sustre, Jamie Horseman and Alan Chavot, Andrew Moger and Zach Magoon, Kat Durham and Krista Cower, followed by Noah Hobson and Roach.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
So get settled in, folks. Maybe if you haven't already, grab a quick snack, grab a drink. 210 laps here from Phoenix for the Bridge to Cup Series. Willow Blake trying to crack into that points lead of Carson Bowers. She had it at one point. Carson Bowers took it away from her, and now she's trying to get it back after dominantly leading every lap at the last race. She's looking to make a comeback. 76 points is the gap. But with the dominant performance like that at Cleveland, you can see it happen again here tonight. Carson Bowers not letting it, come very easily though. His 5 wins on the season, along with 10 top 5s and 15 top 10s. Those are some record stats for early in the season like this. Alex Crowther has a couple wins as well, and he's looking to keep racking up those wins. That 84 is a contender no matter what driver you put in the seat. Cooper Dwight in second, teammate to Carson Bowers. There you go, Willow Blake making a move on what would be a teammate somewhere down the line in Courting Brothers Motorsports, the 48 there of Luis Rodriguez. Yeah, Willow Blake's all settled in. She's got her seat kind of figured out for next year. There's obviously still some caveats and, you know, interesting storylines that haven't played out to its full extent. You got the Project Roar. You've got this Bridge to Cup Championship, all of which, if she could complete the trifecta and win Bridge to Cup, win Project Roar, she could really call her shots, and it doesn't really matter what happens after that. So we'll see. I mean, it's a long year still, halfway through right now. Tonight here at Phoenix, though, one thing I haven't really brought into attention is the last race before seeding races start to happen. So next race at Sonoma is going to help seed them for the bracket championship when we go to Meridian later for August Agro. The whole month of August, it's going to be kind of like what NASCAR's doing right now with their mid-season tournament with head-to-head matchups. I'm going to toot my horn here because I come up with it before NASCAR did. The Bracket Challenge, Bracket Championship. Bridge to Cup last year was determined on that Bracket Championship. And Bradley Ream came out victorious after the head-to-head matchups and everything put him square on top. And to simplify it for those that are listening, the best way to explain it is we're going to have head-to-head matchups, and it's on a 5-race stretch. That's before the series finale. So the 6th race in the end of the season there will be your championship finale. Those 5 races will help decide amongst our 16 who will be eligible for an all-out brawl for the championship at the end of the year. The way it worked out last year, we had 8 drivers of the 16 still eligible for the championship, which was very fascinating. Well, throw in the extreme wrinkle that the championship's going to be run on a super speedway this year. That's already 10 shades of crazy because you've got the bracket championship, which could really knock out some very stout contenders. You know, even when Carson Bowers looks like the guy to have this championship in the bag, all it takes is maybe a head-to-head matchup with Willow Blake on a bad day for him, or a head-to-head matchup with his team owner that could knock him out of the championship finale early for that bracket championship. So a lot coming down here in the last 13 races of the season. Phoenix tonight kind of marks the last race before we start seeding these drivers for the bracket. And so when we go to Sonoma next, we obviously don't know the 16 drivers that are locked in. So the results won't really matter, but we'll look back at the race from Sonoma and take your top 16 once we know them and look at where they finished in Sonoma. And so your 1 through 16 seed will be determined on how they finished in orders of how they finished at Sonoma. So maybe one of the championship contenders finished 32nd, of all the championship contenders, they were the lowest in the field, they would be your 16th seed. Obviously, if any of your 16 drivers win the race at Sonoma, they are automatically the number 1 seed for the first race in the bracket championship. And so the main thing is getting that number 1 seed, because that means you're going to be facing the number 16 seed at that first race. All the races matter after tonight, one way or another, and it's going to get interesting. So well, Alex Crowther still leading the way over Cooper Dwight, Alan Malcolm, Luis Rodriguez, and Willow Blake. Carson Bowers is settled into 7th, and we're really in for a long green flag run here, it looks like. 34 cars still out there running strong. Sigma ARCA Series goes to Berlin Raceway this weekend. And that Cup doubleheader is going to be interesting. We've got one on Thursday the 12th and Friday the 13th. So, yeah, Friday the 13th, we're actually going to be running at Michigan for the Detroit Muscle 400. If anyone out there is superstitious, you might want to tune into that one and see how things go. It's none other than Friday the 13th racing in Sigma, one of the staples on our calendar every year. We always try to run on Friday the 13th whenever it comes around. So, you know, I'm superstitious that way. I like to stick with interesting dates like that. That's why we've got the 777 annual on July 7th, or in other words, 7-7 every year. The other 7 comes from being 777 kilometers in distance. And you're in Vegas, of course, so you always want to be hitting those 777s when you're in Vegas. That means you're hitting the jackpot. Of course, we got to do the one catch-up race where I failed to get it in last week with Phoenix in the Cup cars. We'll see that within the next day or so. Possibly tomorrow night is another live stream. And then possibly the ARCA race will be a live stream. I know usually I do them on pre-recorded, post the next day. It's just been a hectic week. It's been hard to keep up, so live streams are a lot easier. I can get them in, sit here and do them without having to do all the background nonsense to set up the stream. Fastest lap in the race so far belongs to Jimmy Logano. He's running in 8th place, so the Instagram personality running strong here tonight at Phoenix. the drama meter has definitely dipped below average here in the Bridge to Cup race so far. Kind of makes you wonder if the drivers they're settling in for the longer haul here, being a little bit more laps to run than the truck race. 210 laps, it's a whole ordeal. So they're playing the long game here and trying to conserve and save what they've got so they can push harder at the end. Let us bounce to the back of the field here and do it through the field by Sigma. Dead last on the field is Cat Durham. We did see a double header with him in the trucks as well. Not having a very good showing here in the Bridge to Cup car. Crazy, that 35 car had 4 wins this time last year, and I don't even know if they've been able to keep up with the top 10 pace. So huge change out of the team, and maybe just trying to figure out the ropes here with the new driver. Noah Hobson in front of him. Andrew Moger had a win on the season at Daytona earlier this year. Actually almost had the trifecta where he won he won trucks, Bridge to Cup, and then was invited to go run the Cup race there as well. It's crazy how after Daytona it's really not been the same. Roach, Kyler Sestre, we also saw have a good run in the trucks earlier tonight. Definitely not looking great here in the Bridge to Cup number 24. Zach Magoon, Jamie Horseman, Jason So many names we saw running in the truck race earlier. Hopping on over to the next step up the ladder. Seems like even though you had the truck race under your belt here tonight, it's not really transitioning over to a good run. Alan Chavot, Jack Davis, Krista Cower, Adam Starr, Eli the Wolf, Anheuser Wagner, and my game has decidedly crashed again. Did it earlier tonight about 31 laps into the truck race too, so this is what I'll do, folks, since it's getting late for you on the East Coast, I'm sure. I hate to do this, but I can't keep resetting the streams, so I'm going to run the race. I'll give play-by-play updates on the server and report the results after the fact. So, starting to wonder if it's this Phoenix track, and we might have to look into a replacement for this Phoenix as it's got problems. Already had pit stop problems. Just sucks because I had made the change to a newer Phoenix track so that it was Phoenix Raceway and not ISM, whatever. And yep, so sorry folks, it's not going to be the full stream in tonight. I'll post the results as soon as I know them here tonight. And hopefully we get all these bugs worked out for the rest of the racing this week. So hate to do it, but that's what it is. So have a good night, folks. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.